So we just got news that Kimberly Cheatle, the Secret Service director, has stepped down after the attempt was made on Donald Trump's life at his rally. But of course we saw this coming. Kimberly Cheatle is the fall guy. This is much bigger than the Secret Service. In an email obtained by the Associated Press, Kimberly Cheatle stated, "I take full responsibility for the security lapse. In light of recent events, it is with a heavy heart that I have made the difficult decision to step down as your director." This is why we constantly hear the words DEI, DEI. This whole incident at Trump's rally will be swept under the rug as just a DEI or incompetence. That is the scariest part here. You can have the FBI, the Secret Service, and so forth, police, standing down, not doing anything, and they can just say, well, they didn't do anything because they were incompetent. They were a DEI hire, even though what we saw on camera on July 13th was clearly intentional.
Doing the job, I wouldn't even be doing this. I'd be at some beautiful places, the gorgeous ocean, the Mediterranean.
Look, they're all pointing.
The Atlantic, maybe the Pacific.
Yeah, someone's on top of the roof. Look. There he is right there. Right there, see him? He's laying down. See him?
Yeah, he's laying down.
Instead, I'm here with you fighting cartel to get a Senate.
What's happening? Yeah, look. There he is.
Because we have millions and millions of people in our country that shouldn't be here. Dangerous people. Criminals. We have criminals. We have drug dealers. We have people that should not be here. It's much tougher than it happened to our country.
When I think of incompetency, I think of a police officer taking their gun out of their holster and shooting themselves in the foot. But when you have multiple people at this rally yelling, "Police, there's a suspicious man on the roof. He's climbing on the roof. There he is." Police knew that he was there for over 30 minutes, so did Secret Service. They did nothing about it. They did not take Trump off stage. That is intentional. Secret Service, knowing that spot on the roof was very vulnerable to Trump, they did not have a drone on the roof. They were not manning that roof, even though, again, they knew that was one of the most vulnerable spots when it came to Trump, again, is intentional. Cheatle also said in a note to staff, "The scrutiny over the last week has been intense and will continue to remain as our operational tempo increases." Cheatle's resignation comes a day after she appeared before a congressional committee and was berated for hours by both Democrats and Republicans for the security failures. She called the attempt on Trump's life the Secret Service's most significant operational failure in decades and says she took full responsibility for the security lapses. But she angered lawmakers by failing to answer specific questions about the investigation.
The day after President Trump is shot, Secret Service spokesman Anthony Guglielmi said, quote, "The assertion that a member of the former president's security team requested additional security resources that the U.S. Secret Service or the Department of Homeland Security rebuffed is absolutely false." The next day, Secretary Mayorkas said, "That is an unequivocally false assertion. We had not received any request for additional security measures that were rebuffed." But 5 days later, the Washington Post said this: "Top officials repeatedly rejected requests from Donald Trump's security detail for more personnel." The next day, the New York Times said this: "Mr. Guglielmi acknowledged that the Secret Service had turned down some requests for additional federal security assets for Mr. Trump's detail." So which is it? Because both statements can't be true. Were you guessing or lying when you said you didn't turn down requests from President Trump's detail?
Neither, sir, and I appreciate the question.
Well, what were you doing? Because those statements don't jive.
So what I can tell you is that for the event in Butler, there were no requests that were denied. As far as requests...
Well, maybe they got tired of asking. Maybe you turned them down so darn much, they said, not worth asking. How many times did you turn them down ahead of that?
I think that it is important to distinguish between what some people may view as a denial of an asset or a request.
Well, is Mr. Guglielmi your spokesperson? He said he acknowledged the Secret Service had turned down some requests. I'm asking how many?
A denial of a request does not equal a vulnerability.
Well, tell me what it is.
There are a number of ways that threats and risks can be mitigated with a number of different assets, whether that be through personnel, whether that be through technology, or other resources.
Well, tell the committee which it was. They asked for additional help in some form or another. You told them no. How many times did you tell them no, and what did you tell them no to?
Again, I cannot speak to specific incidents, but I can tell you in general terms, the Secret Service is judicious with their resources.
What was shown on TV this whole hearing was just smoke and mirrors. It was a circus. Cheatle's orders came from much higher. Of course she will not talk. Of course she does not know anything. In this article that I'm reading from Yahoo News, Cheatle acknowledged Monday that the Secret Service was told about a suspicious person 2 to 5 times before the shooting at the rally. She also revealed that the roof from which Crooks opened fire, and again, I don't believe it's Crooks, but that the roof from which Crooks opened fire had been identified as a potential vulnerability days before the rally. But she failed to answer many questions about what happened, including why there were no agents stationed on the roof. Because again, this was not incompetency. They were informed, they were told to stand down, to keep that person on the roof as just a distraction. They knew that Trump was getting threats from Iran supposedly weeks prior to this event. Now, I also do not believe this whole Iran narrative because, again, they are having difficulties to build a narrative against Crooks. This woman is afraid to talk, and I don't blame her. There are so many players involved in this incident. Now, I did not watch the whole hearing when it came to Kimberly Cheatle because, like I said, it's just one big circus. Look at these articles that were coming out. Hearing wrap-up. Secret Service Director Kimberly Cheatle fails to answer basic questions and must resign following historic security failures at President Trump's rally. Here are some of the questions that Kimberly Cheatle failed to answer. Did the Secret Service deny President Trump's campaign additional security? If so, when and how many times? Why did Secret Service fail to secure a rooftop in proximity to the rally site and with a clear view of President Trump's podium? Were agents positioned at the rally site affiliated with Secret Service or another department? That one is pretty big. Was there any intelligence gathered by Secret Service on the gunman? How were Secret Service resources deployed at the rally site? Was there advanced planning by Secret Service leading up to the campaign rally? Kimberly Cheatle says the buck stops with her, but if you have any questions, refer to the FBI. Go to the FBI. Yet, the buck stops with me. It's clear as day that the Secret Service will remain mum as to what happened, and all they know is that they were told to stand down, do not get involved, and they did not get involved, and they will not answer any questions whatsoever as to what took place on July 13th, and more than likely, and I predict this now, more than likely, what took place on July 13th will just be swept under the rug as incompetency, as once again, DEI. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is just end this video with some of the footage that took place during that hearing, and you can tell just how close-lipped Kimberly Cheatle happens to be.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And first of all, I want to thank the Secret Service agents, those who work tirelessly to protect our president, and specifically those agents who did not hesitate to jump in front of President Trump. And my heart goes out to the family of the Comptoir family and the people at the rally who are still recovering. On the other hand, the Secret Service has a leadership problem, and it falls on you. And although I appreciate your hollow words that the buck stops here, I was actually hoping for some answers. Director Cheatle, you must answer to the American people if you want to stay in charge. It's really, really simple. You want to keep your job, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. The best way to keep your job is to answer the questions. Not play this shell game, not sing the Slim Shady song, wasn't me? I mean, come on. How long did you prepare for this hearing?
I've been preparing for this hearing over the weekend and into last week.
Okay, 5 days, 6 days?
As soon as I was notified.
And how long was that?
About this hearing.
Okay, 4 days?
I began preparing.
4 days, 3 days?
I'm not sure the date that I got the letter asking me to be here.
What are you sure of? Are you sure the color of your hair? Are you sure the color of your suit? I'm just, like, tell the American people, what are you sure of? You don't even know when you started preparing for the hearing? I mean, the biggest hearing of your life, and you have no clue? You can't remember when you started preparing? preparing for this hearing? Can you understand why those words seem hollow to the American people who are supposed to entrust their faith in you?
I assure you, the moment I received notification.
But you can't remember. You got a little Alzheimer's, dementia going? I mean, what, you can't remember.
I have several active investigations going on and an operational agency to run.
Okay. All right. But you want to take accountability, right? The buck stops with you, right?
I am taking accountability.
Super. Then let's start with trying to answer some questions. You keep referring to the FBI. When asked how many shell casings were on the roof, you referred to the FBI. When asked if there were explosive in the car, you referred to the FBI. When asked if Crooks was acting alone, you referred to the FBI. See a common theme here? I can go on and on. My question is, who at the FBI should I speak with? Wait for it. Wait for it.
The FBI is responsible for the criminal
Is there a name?
I'm not certain.
I'm not certain.
Who at
All
the
right, here we go.
FBI
I'm
is
not
running the
certain. I don't know. Let me ask a different question. Have you been in communication with the FBI?
Yes, I have.
With whom?
I speak with the director and the deputy director.
Okay. And what have they shared with you about this investigation? So I'll give you an opportunity to answer again. Did they share with you how many shell casings were on the roof?
They have shared with me the evidence.
Did they share with you how many shell casing were on the roof?
Yes.
Okay, how many were there?
I would refer to the FBI for their
How
investigation
many were there?
and their information that they need to share in their investigation.
So they've shared the information with you. You just don't want to share the information with us, correct?
We have concurrent investigations that are going on.
So they have shared this information with you. You know the answer to the question. You just refuse to answer the question from the member of Congress who has subpoenaed you to be here. Is there a different answer to that question?
I was always willing to come here and testify before this oversight hearing.
Beautiful. Then let's do that.
It was
Let's
necessary.
for once have your actions match your words. So you've been in communication with the FBI. You know the answers and you refuse to tell us the answers. So I will ask you again. You know how many shell casings were on that roof. What is the answer to that question?
I think it's pertinent.
What is the answer to that question?
I think it's pertinent to talk to you about the information that the Secret Service has and that the Secret Service knows related
I'm
to the
asking
events
you
on
an
that day.
answer to the question. If you're supposed to be in charge, if the buck stops with you, how come you can't share the answers? What are you covering up? What are you hiding, my friend?
I'm not covering anything up.
Then why can't you answer a simple question?
I would leave it to the criminal investigation to answer questions related to that.
When you talk to the FBI and you ask them how many explosives, well, let me ask you, did you ask them how many explosives were on the roof? Did they answer that question? Or in the car, excuse me. Did they answer that question for you?
Yes.
Yes. So you know the answer to that question that my colleagues have asked you. But again, you refuse to give us the answers. You're playing this wasn't me. Well, I submit to you, if you can't, and it's not a can't, it's a won't. It's not a can't. It's not a I don't know. It's a I choose not to answer the question. Well, let me tell you, Ms. Cheatle, if you're going to lead, you need to lead. If you want to be in charge, then answer the question or step aside and have someone with the courage and the guts to answer to the American people the questions that they deserve answers to. And with that, I yield back.
Chair now recognizes Ms. Boebert.